Hey everyone! So today we finally have our very first sort of tell-all question and answer um, type of video for my upcoming short film project. If you haven't heard of this yet, I am aiming to create a short film, basically adaptation of my book one from my post-apoc Western series, The Legacy of Lucky Logan. So if you haven't heard that yet, now you know, and over the course of the next few months, myself and some of my rest of my team who will be bringing this short film to life will be releasing a few of these videos. They'll only be about 20 to 30 minutes long, but we will be answering some of your questions regarding this film project and anything else that we might happen to want to show you along the way, some behind the scenes clips or knowledge or sneak peeks, whatever might come up. So I hope you enjoy this first video where we answer your questions, and if while you're watching it you come up with any more questions, definitely be sure to leave those in the comments and we might cover those in a future video. And I am tacking on this sort of little intro video to the beginning because we got so excited to answer these questions that I wasn't sure if I necessarily introduced the project well enough in our initial recording, so I wanted to go ahead and give sort of a better rundown before we got to it with this little video. So hopefully I sort of covered it better here, but if you do have any other questions, definitely, like I said, leave them in the comments and we will get to those next. All right, so I hope you all enjoy. I'm so excited about this, and here we go. Hello everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Obviously I am J.R. Frontera, the author of the Legacy of Lucky Logan series, and that is probably why you're here, because you have heard of this new project that we are doing in that world. And today on this video, we're going to be talking more about that new project and answering some of your submitted questions. So with me today, we have our producer, Molly Flanagan, and our director, William Hellmuth. So with that, I will let Molly sort of lead the questions, and we will just have a little bit of discussion. And if we do not get to your question that you submitted before, don't worry, because we will be doing more of these and we will get your questions eventually. And if you think of more while you're watching this video, be sure to leave those questions in the comments and we'll get to them too in a future video.
Hi everyone, my name is Molly. I'm the producer on this project. A little bit about me. I actually started as an opera singer and I lived in Chile for 8 years and then kind of came into the film world. My partner and I just finished getting our production company all together, and we just produced a feature Christmas movie that Jenny also helped us with, which was lovely. And we actually met William while I was doing wardrobe on a different movie. Short film that was also a sci-fi.
Yeah, I'm William. I'm a director. I've been in the industry in one form or another since 2007. I've worked as an editor, a cinematographer, lots of different positions, yeah, I have a deep love for all things genre, whether it's sci-fi or fantasy or whatever. I really gravitate towards these types of projects, and so yeah, met Molly last year on this, and I guess Jenny, you were there too, right?
Yes.
So I met both of you on this project.
I was running around back there somewhere.
You're helping me.
More like caught glimpses of Jenny just running around, So,
yes.
Yeah, but exactly. So that's me. Just a guy with a camera. So, yeah.
Well, a little bit about this project. We Jenny decided I wanted her to make all of her stuff into movies for a very long time. So finally making this into a short film. It's a post-apocalyptic Western that follows our hero Van trying to find his sister. And when he finally is able to make a deal to get her, will the deal go right? That's the short film that we're working on. And we have, as Jenny mentioned, some fan questions. So the first one is from Audrey and Kristen. I kind of combine these questions is how do you turn a book into a script? And what is that process like? Jenny, would you like to talk about that? I can also piggyback on it because I've been helping Jenny make it into a script as well.
Yes, that is true. I definitely needed help. It was very difficult. I'll just put it that way. So book one is what we're trying to adapt here, which thankfully is the shortest book, but it is still like 300 pages, and this is a short film. So trying to cram like the 300 pages into, like 10 pages, it was very, very difficult. And I do feel like William helped a lot too, which I think is a different question we can get into later though, because as someone with like an outside perspective, helped to sort of ask, I guess, like the most important questions, like to help streamline the thought process a little bit, because it was at first, like you just can't even wrap your head around it really, because it's just like, what do we even pick? And we wanted to get something that still could be like its own little self-contained story, so that it wasn't just a scene out of nowhere that really didn't go anywhere. Because if you're going to spend the time and the money to create a short film, we wanted it to be able to stand alone by itself, but also open the door to make people want to learn more, to go deeper into the world, and that kind of thing. So once we kind of got that direction going and saying, oh, we need a little bit more of a complete story, I feel like that helped a lot, because I started into it just thinking, oh, this scene would be cool in film, and this scene would be cool in film, and this scene would be cool in film, but like none of them are a story really. So
yeah, we kind of started off as almost like a trailer, like an idea of making a trailer, and then so we had a lot of different options. We had like 3 different script options actually when we first started. And then once we chatted with William, we figured kind of honed in on how to make it the best. And I'll piggyback on that question to say, how does the producer like, and what does the producer like and dislike about working with the novelist to create a film adaptation? I absolutely love it. And I've been helping Jenny on this process, adapt it like into a script. And I will say that takes a lot of time. I read all the scenes, especially when we were doing several different scenes. I read them all. They're maybe 20 to 30 pages long, and I have to figure out a way to condense it into a page or 3 pages. So I try to be as, faithful to the book as possible, because Ginny has wonderful characters and character development and great dialogue. So sometimes I just have to kind of condense what is a 5-page scene into like half of a page. So that is challenging. It definitely takes time, but I really like working with a novelist to create a film, because I think a lot of times I read books and I was like, this would be absolutely amazing. This would be such a great film. I could see it happening. And then some people get their hands on it and it's not good. And they just like really think that they should just change absolutely everything. And it's like, you had such great material to start with. I don't know why you changed everything. Obviously, you have to, smush things down and adapt it to make it work for the time constraints that you have. But, I don't understand why people change so much. So that's really exciting to get to take a wonderful piece of material and turn it into this short film. Since we're talking about the book, I'll have a question for William from Kristen. Did you read the book, or how much research is required to execute this? And is your knowledge of the story strictly from the script, if that is true, then is that helpful or challenging?
Yeah, great question. I did not read the book before we started, when I signed on. All I had read was your, 3 different versions of the script, and then kind of had discussions with you two about the kind of like the larger story and backstories of the characters, things like that. I think that was actually helpful in the adaptation process, though, because I was able to look at these scripts and just sort of see them for exactly like just what they were. Since I wasn't coming in with kind of knowledge of, these characters, larger stories, or anything like that. So, because like I'm a big believer, like Jenny was saying, that short film should just be its own complete story. When you sit down to watch it, it has that like real a true ending, so that if we didn't go make anything else in this world, that this one piece of art would just stand on its own. And so that was helpful in that stage, I think, to be able to read that, at least have one person on the team with an outside perspective. Now that we've kind of zeroed in on the story we want to tell, and how to kind of take some themes and elements from the book and turn them into a short film. I'm reading the book in order to just kind of get that knowledge of the characters, who they are, all that kind of stuff, so that when it comes time to make the film, I'll have the knowledge that I need to, direct the actors and make sure, I mean, it's actors, production design, just the whole movie, the tone of everything, just make sure
Right.
I have all the knowledge I need to really portray the book,
Right.
and not just kind of like my own idea of what I think could be like a cool short or something like that. So yeah, that's been my, and the approach is different for everything, I think. Like sometimes I think walking into a project, it's better to be already like super familiar with everything. But everything's different. Every project is different, and that's kind of how this one has shaken out, and I think it's working pretty well.
I kind of already mentioned this, but I do think that it did help for you to not be already in it at the beginning, because it was actually William's idea to start at the end of the book instead of the beginning. So you guys will get to know more as we get further into the project, but essentially I was more towards the beginning, trying to figure out how to portray things, starting more towards the beginning of the book. And then once we sort of talked more about the book, it was William's idea to say, well, why don't we just do the end? Why don't we start at the end? And I was just like, well, that's an idea. And then I actually made it much easier. So
yeah, and it's great. I'm really excited about it.
Cool.
Another question for William. What made you choose this project, and how do you feel about the genre in general? This is from Sarah and Audrey, combining their questions.
Sure.
And what about the story appeals to you as a filmmaker?
Yeah, I mean, all right. So choosing the project, there are a lot of things that go into choosing a project. Like a big part of it for me is like, do I see, beyond the story, which, when we're as far as story goes with this one, like it's got a lot of really just classic Western elements in it that I love. Like what the Western genre is one of my all-time favorites. I love kind of the like the nature of Westerns, where everything about like human nature is kind of boiled down to these sort of like very simple ideas, so you create these kind of iconic moments. And yeah, it's great. And it has this classic like hunt element to it that I really like. It's more than just like a revenge story, but there's this like this like searching, hunting, and that's very like it's very cool. Like it's a very classic Western premise that I really think is very strong and a lot of fun. Lots of cool opportunity in there. But probably a bigger factor for me in choosing it was, after reading the script and seeing like, okay, like there's some potential in here. It's really just talking with like you two, sitting down and, um, sharing what I think is important in collaborative relationships, and what I'm looking for, and really like sensing like a really good collaborative attitude from both of you, like it, yeah, and just knowing like, okay, this is going to be a good experience creating something with these people. And that's really like that's such a huge part of it. Like the more I make movies, the more I realize like it's, like story, all that stuff is obviously very important, but it's who you're making it with. If you can find the right people that you kind of click with and have a good time and have open minds, and encourage you to have an open mind about things as well, like it can really create you can create some really great stuff together. So that's why I'm excited about this.
Me too. I think it's going to be great. Really, we do have a really wonderful collaboration. Just going off of ideas and everybody being really open-minded is really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Even though this project does present some difficulties. So,
yeah,
to be honest, just because of the genre and everything. So I'd love, a big question from a lot of different people was different challenges that this particular genre has. And Vicky had a specific question about having animals like horses and gunfire. Like, how does that create a new level of complexity?
well, I mean, a lot of it just requires extra planning. If you're going to have horses, you can't really any kind of animals, like you just need to allow the time to really sit down and plan and figure that out. When it comes to firearm safety is a really huge deal. I've um been lucky enough to I've been on sets with firearms before, and you just have strict safety protocols you follow with that. And sometimes it's, I've done, whether it's live ammo or not, there's always just like this regimen you follow. And with that in mind, like it's really like not actually that much of a concern. If you follow these safety rules and everything, perfectly safe, like you're going to be fine. And then I actually think some of the challenges are probably like the less obvious ones whenever you're doing anything genre, like Western, post-apocalyptic, put those together. It's very like there's this almost like indefinable quality that the good ones have, where they like, where they just kind of feel real. Like the actors don't feel like they're wearing costumes because all the details kind of line up. The settings don't feel like they're just kind of cool, but they feel actually cool, like lived in. Like there are like it's those details I think that'll really get you with these sort of genre things, and that you really have to pay attention to. And I find sometimes like the best way to do that is finding artists to kind of head up each of these things who are really passionate about it and bring a lot of themselves to each of it. And so you end up with a really like rich world with a lot of different creative voices in it that are all aligned underneath the same vision, rather than kind of this like mono, like one voice that's just kind of like figuring everything out like top down. And I think sometimes that's where some of the more like indie genre films fail, is you have a director come in who kind of has this, just the extremely specific ideas about everything, rather than letting a world feel like, big and rich and lived in, which I believe the way to do that is bringing in as many voices as you can.
And I totally really like that you mentioned like the costumes and like the sets or whatever, because that's what actually the costumes are the thing that I notice. I love costumes, like, and Molly knows. I mean, like in our family, we've been making costumes since like before cosplaying was even like a huge deal. But so we're very picky about the costume thing, but it's like, I feel like that's like almost a first giveaway a lot of times, is because like you can just tell, does the costume look like they just grabbed it off of like a Walmart shelf, or like, is the material like heavy? Like, does it have weight to it? Is it
have like texture?
Is it dirty? Does it have texture? Wait, is it dirty? Is it scuffed up? Like, I don't know, like just little things like that. I feel like can add a lot. I feel like
they really do. And I'll say another thing that we really want to have in this short film is Van's leg. That'll depend a lot on what we end up having our budget be, but we really are trying to figure out, once we have that fine line of what is going to be more practical and what would be like more VFX. But since it is this post-apocalyptic world, we really want to include that also in the film as much as possible.
That's true.
But that'll be a later development for sure. I think we're about at our time, but if everybody would like to just answer a quick question from Obsi and Nicolette about what part of the film you're most excited about filming.
You know, I'm a sucker for really like I'd even already said it before, but like these like iconic images. I'm really excited for the opening scene of the film. Like we've got some I've got some really fun stuff planned for that I think is just gonna be a really like attention getting cool scene.
I'm just kind of excited to see like all of it. Like it's just I know it's gonna be. I'm trying to like really stay in the moment and like because I can already tell like when we get there and when we're actually doing the filming, I'm just gonna be like, is this even happening? Like you know what I mean? Like it's like because we also ever since I was little done our own home movies and everything, so it's always, oh my gosh, it's just gonna be crazy. So yeah, I'm really excited to see all of it is gonna be amazing. But yeah, I think probably one of the highlights for me, I think, is definitely gonna be, of course, the final confrontation showdown, because that's just always the thing that you have to have in like all the westerns. It's so classic and like you said, iconic, and so like to do like sort of like our own version of that, I think is just gonna be really fun. Like I'm just gonna be like the whole time.
I'm also really excited to see all of it put together. Again, I've been like Ginny's beta reader since I was like 10. I've read all of her any story she ever had. I read it. I read all of her stuff. So it's really exciting to get to be here. If you didn't know, we're sisters. Sorry. He knows that, but if you're watching and you didn't know that, we're sisters. So it's really exciting to get to do it with her and get, her visions into this film world. I'm also an actor, so to get to like I'm in the movie magic or whatever it is, it's so different on the production side. So I've learned a lot, and like helping her get it going and get it there is really exciting. And William is fantastic and works really well with Jenny. Is also like figuring out how it's going to look. So I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. So I'm really excited to see it all put together.
And I will say also that yes, William and Molly are both amazing, and I very much appreciate both of you, because as the author of the base novel, it can be very nerve-wracking to bring in other people to create a different medium of the same story. And so it's very important to me to work with people that I do trust to like respect that original story and characters. And I definitely feel like both of these wonderful people do that. So I'm just so excited, because personally, I feel like I actually almost create better in a collaborative environment. Like I just really enjoy, even when I write novels, I'm always dragging my readers into it. Like, guys, what should happen now? What should this person's name be? Vote on this scene or whatever. So I end up dragging other people into it anyway. But but yeah, so this is really great and fun, and I'm having a blast so far. So can't wait for more.
Well, thank you all so much for watching and listening. We're really excited to get this Kickstarter going, and more information will be happening. If you have any more questions, send them over. And once we get a little further along, we'll definitely do another one to check in how all the process is going. Thank you.
I'm so excited. Thanks, everyone.